my first video in a while. Um, I'm basically just going to be talking about some books. I'm not really going to take on any topics today. Recently made a trip to Half Price Books, one of my favorite bookstores. I know several people that watch my videos love the bookstore as well. I get one book I'm really excited about, but I haven't had a chance to start getting into it other than kind of glancing through. That's Diana Stein's Guide to the Goddess Craft, and found this for $5. And from what I've read as far as the other reviews and summaries online, it's a book about Diana Wicca. So I'm really looking forward to reading this and kind of learning more. I love goddess related stuff, and that's part of what I'm going to talk about today, because you know, I've heard from some people recently who say they have trouble connecting to the goddess and finding their own personal connection to deities. So particularly because I like working with goddesses, not to shun, you know, gods or anything, you know, or if you have a preference of working with both, but just my own personal comfort level is working with the goddesses. So another book I got, and when I saw this, I couldn't remember why I had been looking for this book, but I figured I had a coupon, so I bought it. Is Enchantment of the Fairy Realm: Communication with Nature, Spirits, and Elements by Ted Andrews. I did get a chance to read some of his book, Animal Speak, but I didn't get all the way through the book like I wanted. So I'm looking into getting that book again so I can finish it. I've kind of started this one. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about Mr. Andrews' tones when he's writing his books. They're very informational, and I like that there's sorts of pictures in here and stuff. They're all black and white, but I look forward to reading that one. And then the last one I got on clearance for $1.99. And I figured, why not, is Circle, Coven, and Grove, Deborah Blake, A Year of Magical Practice. So it is sort of a 101 book, and it's one of those book types that kind of fills pages by having you do notes. You know, I'd never heard of this book before, but it was on sale, so I kind of figured, oh, I'll give it a chance. But the two books I'm going to be talking about today that I have read in full, and I've actually read quite a few books, but I've been moving, and I'm probably going to be looking at moving again, so I couldn't find the other ones, but in particular I'm going to talk a little bit about these, and then I have some recommendations for books as far as people who are looking to connect with deities, and particularly the goddess. And I'm going to just highlight some of those at the end here. But Morgan Le Fay's Book of Spells, A Wiccan Rites by Jennifer Reith is one of the books I'm talking about today. I do particularly like this book. It's full of spells and rituals, and they're all set up geared towards working with certain goddesses, gods, and it's ceremonial magic. It's not earth magic, herbal magic, green magic. It is very much ceremonial magic. A lot of the incantations are very wordy and poetic, but I like poetic, so I quite enjoyed them. I wasn't comfortable with all the rituals, but some of these were just really beautiful. It really didn't teach me anything. I don't know. I wouldn't say this is, you know, a book of advanced knowledge. It's more so a book I would say is for inspiration. You know, reading this book, I think you would get a lot of ideas for rewriting certain rituals maybe to your own, or inspirations for writing your own rituals from scratch. There are some brief discussions here, like the pentagram and they show you in particular, a pentagram for strength and power using Morgana, and, drawing, but I've seen that in some of Buckland's books, so there's nothing special about that. She is a bit further. She has like these different symbols and stuff, which none of those were too familiar with me, so I'm comfortable with, there's no weird, strange symbols in there that are going to, cause ill harm or something like that. It's a quick read. It's only about 200 pages long. I think I paid $4 for this book. Again, it was from Half Price Books. It's one of the few books, well, I found more, but I know a lot of people tend to find books by the publisher Luenell, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. They publish a lot of books, but this one is from Citadel Press, and it's an enjoyable book. Very poetic, lots of rituals in here. It will give you lots of inspiration, so if you can find it, I would say definitely pick it up. The next book I have, Celtic Myth and Magic by Eden McCoy. And as always with Eden McCoy, I've heard a lot more gripes about it than anything else, because she claims this to be a book all about Celtic magic, and none of it, I would say this, none of it is based in history. Very few pieces or rituals in here that she presents are based in actual factual history. This simply seems to be that it's based on opinions, modern day practices, and probably some outdated history, which with history, the more we discover and learn, it's going to outdate what we thought we knew. Does this mean it's not useful or bad? No, I don't think so. As long as you recognize that it's not a hard and fast fact, that it's subjective and can change, and you don't, go overboard or crazy with, telling people this is truth and this is fact and beating people over the head with it, aka the Bible. I mean, I don't see a problem with it. And there's a lot of inspiration in here, and I have to say her dictionary on gods and goddesses in here is very good. It's like the book she did on fairy magic, which I can't remember the exact title right now, but I think I've mentioned it in one of my videos before. The dictionary part is really, really good. It's maybe not the best on the subject, but for a beginner, or even someone, an intermediate maybe, who doesn't want to have and keep encyclopedias around, it's a really good reference tool. And the meditations in here are pretty good. I mean, it's her own path. That's what this book is. It's Eden McCoy's vision of Celtic magic, and I found it very enjoyable to read. Like I said, I wouldn't use this to quote fact for fact, this is how the Celts lived, blah, 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 blah. But I would definitely use it for inspiration for certain Sabbaths, for certain rituals. I would refer to it when I wanted to look up a Celtic god or goddess to get a little bit more information before doing more research. It is a tad expensive if you buy it new. It's $22.95. And if I'm correct, I believe my friend Daniel sent this to me as a Sabbath gift. And he found it used on Amazon, I think. I could be mistaken, but I know he did send me 2 books as a Sabbath gift, and I sent him 2 as well. It was kind of a gift exchange. And I don't regret it. I would definitely keep this book in my library. I wouldn't sell it. I don't really make a habit of selling my pagan and Wiccan books, because I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to books, but that's just me. Lastly, books I would recommend for those who are seeking connection with the deity. These books may help provide some inspiration. if you feel you're lacking. One, I'm going to start with because I quite enjoyed it. I know many people bash this author, but I do enjoy some of her works, and I've actually found this to be one of her better ones. In certain pages, I found inspirational. Again, I wouldn't use it as a fact reference guide, but for inspiration and enjoyable reading on goddesses, this would definitely be one I would recommend, and that's Maiden, Mother, and Crone by D.J. Conway. I picked this up literally for like $1 on Amazon, used. So I imagine you can probably find other copies fairly cheap. And it's not a long book. It's about 230 pages long. But it's a highly enjoyable book to read. It's easy to read, and it leaves a lot to your imagination. And it includes some rituals and meditations that I think a lot of people would find useful. So look out for that one. Goddess for Every Day by Julie Lohr. 365 days of goddesses. And it goes by calendar year starting January 1st, going to December 31st. Highly, highly, highly enjoyable book. Again, it's not a fact reference checking tool. But what it will do is give you names of goddesses you may have heard of, may not have heard of, and give you a bit of 101 info and inspiration for looking into the different goddesses of different cultures. And every culture is well represented here. Everybody from the Mayans to the Greeks and Romans and Celts, Norse, African, you name it, it's in here, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Michelle Skye has a trilogy of books. And I know Drew Hoffman, one of my good friends, I believe he's read all these books too, and he may have been the one that first turned me on to them. But they are Goddess Alive, Celtic and Norse goddesses. And this one, it is in the Sabbath ritual. There's a different goddess for different Sabbaths. I particularly love the one on Bridget because she is my patron goddess, and I work with Bridget constantly, so that's a great book. Goddess Aloud, transferring your world through rituals and mantras. And this one does not go in the Sabbath ritual. It goes by different attributes like forgiveness, self-love, guidance, revenge, and it gives you mantras for each goddess. And this one, I'm just checking, it sticks to the Celtic and Norse goddesses as well, pretty much. Though it does, no, I'm sorry, it sticks with Celtic, Norse, and then it starts to branch into other cultures. There's one here for Hina, a Hawaiian goddess for self-liberation. There's a few others, but mainly, again, she's sticking kind of with the Celtic, Norse, and Roman goddesses. And then Goddess Afoot is an all-out, just, it's all goddesses. And with this one, she really doesn't have a theme for teaching the goddesses. She kind of just goes through one by one. There's some in here for, different self-attributes, again, like self-love, self-worth, forgiveness. But this one is like British goddess for birth and war, meeting with Samhaiti, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it's just an example, and it's supposed to be like lessons. But the really good thing about this book is she does do a lot of research. She doesn't present anything as fact. She presents it as subjective, but she has a lot of background and history that was as up to date as the printing of these books on each goddess. And she really spans the Celtic, Norse, Roman, and she does start to get into like the Hawaiian cultures and the Aztecs and the Mayans. I would recommend these trilogies of books. I've seen these recently at Half Price Books, so definitely check those out. And then for the Earth Mother, not so much for the goddess, but for ideas for what you can do in nature. And this book is probably going to be harder to find. I have not seen another copy, and I just happened to stumble upon this at a Half Price Books. It's by another one of the authors I really like, Judaica Illes, and it's called Earth Mother Magic. And really, you can't go wrong with any of her books on natural magic. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to spells, herbal work, you know, garden magic, being a green witch. But this book in particular, she goes a bit more into not just the herbs, but she goes into animals, different meditations, a bit of dream work. There's a few spells, but not as much. And I enjoyed this book a lot. I saw somebody selling it on eBay for like $200. I doubt it's worth that, but if you can find this book, because it is out of print, definitely pick it up. It's a good book and I enjoyed it. And that is all I have for you today. Sorry if the camera angle seems a little bit weird, or if it seems like I'm staring off into space. I'm on my husband's contraption and he has a giant monitor, so I'm kind of looking at the monitor while talking into the webcam. So it's a bit odd for me. But thank you once again, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.